Adding sound to your applications can be a great way to make them more compelling. And luckily with Android, it's very easy to do. So I've just created a new blank project called Sound Playback. And like I've mentioned before, if we want to include things like audio and video with our application, we're generally going to put them in the resources folder in a folder called raw, which we're going to need to create. So let's right click on the resources folder, go to new folder, and we'll call it raw. Now in the exercise files in the assets folder, I have this sound effect called beep. So we're just going to drag that into the raw folder. And we're just going to leave it at the default here because we want to actually copy the files into that directory. And now we have our sound here. So let's go into our main.xml file. And all I'm going to do is to replace this text view with a button. And when we click on this, we're basically going to make the sound effect play. Okay, so now let's jump over to our Java code. So we'll open up main.java. And like we've done many times before, let's get a reference to our button. So find view by ID. There it is. And we want to make sure we cast this to a button. And now let's set up the on-click listener. And we're just going to do it as an anonymous event handler here. Make sure we get that imported. So when we want to actually play back audio and video in our applications, most of the time we're going to be using the media player class. And this class does exactly what it sounds like. It plays back media in your application. So I'm going to create a new instance of the media player class here, and I'm going to call it MP. Now here we don't create a new instance using the new keyword. We actually use a static method on the media player class called create. So let's do that. So media player dot create. Now this has a few different overrides here. We can provide a URI. So if we actually have a sound that's out on the network or maybe on the user storage, we can play it that way. In our case, since it's a resource in our project, we're going to use this first one. So here we're going to pass in the context, which again, since we're in this inner event handler, the best way to do that is just to say main.this. And now we just give our resource ID for our sound. So r.raw and then beep. Okay, so now we've set up our media player, and now this is actually ready to play back our sound. So if we look in the media player class, we have a whole host of methods and properties that we can use to control our media. And it's a very full-featured class, so if you wanted to build your own type of media player on top of this class, this gets you almost everything you need in order to create a full-featured media player. For us, though, we're just going to simply start the sound and play it back when we click on that button. So with this done now, let's go ahead and run it, and let's launch up the emulator. Okay, here it comes, and there's our button. And you can see when I click, it's playing back that sound. So again, this is a very simple example, but basically it shows what you can do in order to create sound effects for your applications. The media player class goes a lot deeper than this, but we're also going to be looking in a future movie about how to incorporate video as well using the media player class.